fellow A-Plusers. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new episode of A-Plus Morphinominal, your stop for your Power Rangers and Super Sentai review and news right here, guys, on our YouTube page, A-Plus Opinions. As always, it is your host, Adam Perez. I'm back with a brand new episode for you guys this weekend, as this is actually our first weekend without Lupinranger versus Patranger. The Super Sentai series just went ahead and concluded last weekend. If you guys did miss our season finale review, I'll go ahead and put a link in the description box below for you guys. 51 episodes, a pretty good season. I'm not gonna lie, I had a really good time watching this season. So what I wanted to do today was really just give you my thoughts on the season as a whole, some pros, some cons, and really me grading this season for you guys before we go ahead and go into the next upcoming season of Super Sentai and Real Soldier that's set to go ahead and debut, I believe, at the middle of March. I cannot remember the date off the top of my head. I want to say like the 17th or something like that. It's around that date. So the middle of March, we've got a brand new Super Sentai series. But I wanted to just take this opportunity to really just kind of go back and just rethink about Lupinranger versus Patranger and really just hear your guys' thoughts also on the season as a whole. Because again, these are just my A-plus opinions. I also want to know your opinions as well in the comment section box below. So I went ahead and took some notes, because it's been on my mind today, so I wanted to kind of just bounce some ideas off of you guys and really just give you guys my thoughts on why I appreciated this season and maybe why I didn't at times. So I'll just start off with the good things about this season, right? First and foremost, you can't make a good Super Sentai series without a great cast. And the cast in here I thought was just absolutely phenomenal. I thought for the most part, everybody really brought their A game to the table in here, and you really just kind of fell in love with each of these particular characters. Now, some characters are harder to love than others, but I feel like by the end of the season, you really get a really great appreciation for a lot of these characters. And that, again, it really comes down to the cast and the people that you pick to play these characters. And so the cast choice I thought was absolutely fantastic. And then again, on top of the great cast, you've got really great character development in here. Now, while there are some characters that I was certainly uncertain about at the beginning of the season, for an example, Kichiro, the fact that this guy was such a hot-headed sort of police officer, he did more screaming and more yelling than I probably could honestly deal with at the beginning of this season. But as you continue to grow and build this character and learn more about his backstory and just seeing the effort that he puts through and understanding who he is, by the end of this season, Kichiro is almost a completely different person, or he's at least learned how to channel that anger and that temper and use it in certain and different ways that really help his character grow and build. So Kichiro is a perfect example of that. And honestly, Sequoia for me also was another character that I was really uncertain about, but really grew on me as the season progressed. There's just something about his absent-mindedness at times that just really threw me for a loop. Sometimes just like his overly flamboyant, like just energy was sometimes just a little bit too much for me, that I wanted to just be like, look, you need to calm it down a little bit, Sequoia, okay? But as his relationship with like Yumika continues to grow and you really see just who he is as a person and as a character, he really grew on me by the end of this particular season, quite frankly. And then just seeing some of these characters and just their relationships with one another throughout this season, I thought was just handled really well by the creative team. Kichiro and Kairi's sort of relationship, just seeing where they started to where they ended, I thought was phenomenal. And then again, a perfect example of Sequoia and Yumika come to mind. Just seeing how where they started, the process that these characters went through, seeing Yumika eyes kind of open a little bit to Sequoia and really understanding who he is and becoming quite fond of him at the end of the season. I thought all of that really just does great job in regards to building and developing your characters all season, and I thought for the most part they did a stellar job in here. The amazing action sequences and special effects, just some of like the super power ups that they wind up having, some of the final strikes and final attacks that they gave off just looked absolutely incredible. And shout out has to go out to just the fun sort of camera angles that we wind up having this season that really elevated the action pieces. Now, there are times there are certain camera angles in here and the way that they shot the action scenes that really make me feel like they literally shot them with just some sort of like drone and just having like flying above them and around them sort of thing as the action is taking place. I've never seen action a shot in that form before, but it worked so fantastically well for this season, and always made every battle and fight sequence just unique and just fun to watch, quite frankly. So yeah, action and the special effects in here really go hand in hand and did a really good job this season. And another point that I really enjoyed about this season, I thought for the most part, the story was pretty solid and had a really great build-up all season long. There are some times, though, where I do wish that revelations weren't so spread out, that we had it more on a consistent basis in a sense. But the end result for me, when I look back at it, was definitely worth the wait. Like, there's a lot of puzzle pieces all season long, and like the last 10 episodes, they all start kind of coming together, which I appreciated because it really made for a stellar end to this season. But again, I wish there were more revelations kind of sprinkled in throughout this season instead of just always being a big gap. I also really appreciated the uniqueness of this particular season. Now, while sometimes the execution of this season didn't work out that well as far as thieves versus cops, I thought it was unique, at least, for them to at least take that opportunity and do something different for Super Sentai, because again, we are kind of backpedaling now for this upcoming season of Super Sentai. People are upset at the idea that we're getting dinosaurs once again. So when I look back at Lupinranger versus Patranger, I'm super thankful that they had such a unique concept. So again, sometimes it wasn't executed well, but the concept is certainly unique in itself, and I appreciated that here. And also, I got to admit, I thought this season, for the most part, did a really good job of balancing humor and drama. There were a lot of serious moments here for a lot of our characters, but we also had some episodes that were just fun and goofy and just humorous. And then we had some characters like Sequoia and so forth that just really brought great humor to this show at times. So I did feel as though this was very balanced out. It wasn't too much on the drama side, and it wasn't too much on the humor side, say example like Ninja, which I really felt certainly was. So I was really thankful for the balance in here. So I really appreciated this season, quite frankly. I really had a good time. But with every high, there are certainly lows to a season. And so let's go ahead and break that down. Some of the cons for this season, guys. One of the teams just had way too much focus. For a season that really was supposed to showcase two teams, let's be honest here. Lupinrangers just took all the attention away from the Patrangers. I like the idea and the concept of two teams, but the execution was just not done very well. This truly was a Lupinranger season with like the Patrangers as guest stars. For the most part, for the beginning half of this season, the Patrangers were really just used as comedic relief. The butt of all the jokes for Lupinrangers, right? I mean, the Patrangers literally were distractions for the Lupinrangers to get the upper hand on the Gangler monsters at times. So there really were times when the Patrangers were just really thrown under the bus, and you really learned that the main focus of the season truly was the Lupinrangers, that it wasn't as balanced as I was really hoping. Maybe it also wasn't as balanced as they were also intending as well. So the one team getting too much focus, at least, was certainly a con for me. Another con, lack of upgrades for the Patrangers. Now, when I look back at this season, though, and I see how the season finale ended with the Patrangers getting all the upgrades and using them to their best advantage, it almost makes me feel like the writing team used that. Like, I almost feel like the writing team had this in mind the entire time. Like, let's not give the Patrangers very many upgrades all season long, because we know in the finale they're going to be using all the upgrades that we certainly gave the Lupinrangers. So I'm almost thinking it was planned out that way. But as a viewer looking in, not knowing that, and you're watching all 50-something episodes, the lack of upgrades for Patrangers was certainly discouraging for myself and for many, unfortunately. Next up, guys, another con for me, unresolved storyline. There wasn't many. There really was not many unresolved storylines in here. But again, when I spoke about the review last week, my biggest downfall that I had about the finale was the lack of Noel getting his storyline completed, right? I'm assuming, we all assume that the person he wanted to bring back with his wish was Arsène Lupin, but unfortunately, we never got the opportunity to see that. Everybody else got their wish fulfilled, great, fantastic emotional embraces. But unfortunately, Noelle, at the end of the day, we just did not see that. And so that is definitely one storyline I would have liked to have seen resolved. And that kind of almost goes into the idea that I wish that the Gangler monster storylines were fleshed out a little bit more. And when I say that, I mean specifically Destra and Gauche, because of the fact that I felt like they had an intense relationship with Noelle that we as viewers maybe didn't see on the screen. I almost feel like there was like a past between these three that wasn't spoken out loud, but just some of the dialogue that they had towards each other, the way that they acted towards each other, it almost made it feel as though they knew each other from past experiences, but we never really got storylines or anything like that to showcase that. And I that's something that I certainly would have liked, like very similar to how we had the storyline between Zamigo and Kairi. Just that personal sort of vendetta that these two characters had with each other. I would have liked to have seen that more with Gauche and Destra when it came to Noelle, and seen a little bit more of that storyline, quite frankly, because I do feel as though that was really untouched upon, and something I would have liked to have seen explored. And then last but not least, in regards to the cons, just the inconsistency with the good episodes, and I think you guys can understand that, because I think that was another frustration that I had as a viewer, is that some episodes were really great, and some of the other episodes were just really subpar, unfortunately. And it was always the great episodes when you would get one that would just frustrate the hell out of you, because you know exactly what the writing team was certainly capable of, and you just kind of wish that they kept that momentum through each of those particular episodes and kept building. I mean, look, with 50-something episodes, when you're putting out a show that has to be 50 episodes long, I get it. Sometimes there are going to be filler episodes, but this almost sometimes felt like it had not necessarily filler episodes, but just episodes that just didn't have any consequences to them, that didn't fit into the bigger story of the main storyline or story arc going so far for that season. So there were a lot of inconsistencies in good episodes, but the good episodes that we did get were always great, I always felt like. So I wish that there's definitely more consistency there, but I had a blast with this season. I truly did. If I had to give this season an overall grade, I'm probably going to give it a B. And I'm not gonna go B minus. I'm not gonna go C, because I enjoyed it. So maybe B minus, but it's definitely in the B range. I wouldn't say B plus. I'm gonna go and just say a solid B for this season, because I enjoyed it. I had a really good time watching this season, but some of the inconsistencies really just kind of threw me off all season. If it was more consistent, I definitely probably would have rocketed this thing up to an A for sure. But it is a solid season. It is a season I definitely recommend that you check out for sure, especially based off its uniqueness and just great character building and the storyline. So I highly recommend that you check out this Super Sentai season. But again, those are just my A+ opinions. I want to know your A+ opinion. So please let me know what you thought about Lupinranger versus Patranger in the comment section box below, guys. This will probably be our last Lupinranger that we do on this particular channel, unless something crazy winds up happening. So thank you guys, each and every one of you, for your support, sticking with us through all of our reviews, all 51 episodes. We certainly appreciate your patience, and hope you enjoyed this season as much as we certainly did. So guys, subscribe to us here on our YouTube page if you haven't done so just yet, and click that bell notification button, guys, because anytime we drop a brand new video, especially when we do our reviews for Rio Soldier, you will certainly be notified. Also, check us out on our Facebook page, our Twitter account, and our Instagram account. And until next time, guys, adieu.